Major rescue efforts are underway in Lagos, Nigeria, where a three-story building that included a school has collapsed. It happened earlier during class time there in Lagos. Possibly dozens of children are believed to be inside.
As you can tell from this video from the scene, this is a densely populated city where some 2 million people live and work. 20 million, rather. Right. Thank you. For more on this now, we want to bring in CBS News foreign correspondent Debora Patta. She's with us now on the phone from Addis Ababa. You can probably say that better.
Addis Ababa.
Yeah, thank you. In Ethiopia, are obviously covering the plane crash. So, Debora, what is the latest? What can you tell us about the situation in Lagos? We're looking at video now. It looks like a tremendous number of people have gathered there, but I don't know how much work is being done right now.
Incredible scenes, though, aren't they, when you see children actually being rescued. This is in a very busy part. It's on Lagos Island, which is just off Lagos itself. It is a very busy, congested part of the island. The school is a three-story building, and we understand it was a primary school that was actually on the top floor. And, you know, as always with Nigeria, it's so difficult to get accurate numbers. We've heard that there could be 100 children in the school. We've heard that there could be up to 300. But it seems they're working from a figure of 100, and we know that at least 7 children have been rescued. And these incredible scenes when a child is brought out covered in rubble and dust but alive. Everyone cheers. These men rush forward shirtless to try and help. And so incredible goodwill as they try these frantic rescue operations of this primary school. And a very worrying situation indeed, because we simply do not know how many children were in that building when it collapsed. It came down at 10 a.m. local time. So assuming that everyone was at school, it would have been a pretty busy time indeed for the school.
Yeah, we're seeing pictures now, Debora, showing a young child that is being pulled out of the rubble and being rushed by the emergency responders to a looks like an ambulance.
You can hear the crowds.
You can hear the crowds cheering. Obviously, this image is important to show to our viewers because you can just see how densely packed it is. Lagos is, the official numbers are kind of unknown. They think that up to 20 million people can live in this city, and if you look at the number of people that are there, it gives you a sense of how these buildings are very tightly packed close together, and the regulatory framework for building in Nigeria is loose, to say the least, Debora.
Exactly, and this is, I mean, you'll know that from having lived there, that Nigeria is frequently hit by building collapses because there's such a weak enforcement of those regulations, and often very poor construction materials are used, and then you have the added element of corruption thrown in when contractors are contracted, they're not good enough, they are not up to scratch, and there are issues with the actual building. So that, together with the lax enforcement, means that you constantly have these kinds of problems. And you'll recall in 2016, more than 100 people were killed when a church came down in southeastern Nigeria. And in Lagos that same year, a 5-story building that was still under construction collapsed, killing at least 30 people, and a floating school, which was actually built, can you believe it, to withstand storms and floods, was also brought down in Lagos in the same year, although nobody was reported injured in that event. So this is something that happens fairly frequently in that city, and that is why there is such concern, because of the congestion there, because it is so difficult to reach it, and all those people gathered around can't be helping the situation at all.
Yeah, and you know, one of the other things that is difficult for emergency responders in Lagos specifically is that because these buildings are so tightly packed together, it's nearly impossible to get vehicles into some of these neighborhoods. I wondered about
the heavy equipment. We see some heavy equipment.
You can see one or two, but it's just, it was probably already there because it's really, really hard to get into some of these neighborhoods. You know, I covered fires where fire trucks can't get in there because there's just no road. It's just very pedestrian.
And I can see that, I mean, it's just the streets around there are packed with people.
Packed with people. And as Debora points out, as you say, Debora, anytime you're in Lagos specifically, because look at the crowds of people, it is just difficult to get things done. You're seeing people with hammers trying to pull children out of this rubble.
Absolutely, and you can imagine for the parents, they're frantic, they're trying to get to the scene, they probably can't get there, they're going to the hospitals to see if maybe their children have been brought there, and obviously for the children that have been rescued, incredible for the parents. It looks like it will go on for some time, and the lack of numbers involved means that they don't really know what they're dealing with at this particular point in time.
Yeah.
Well, we saw, one looks like a child being pulled out of the rubble. Hopefully, this scene will continue to repeat itself in the coming hours. But your heart breaks for the parents, and this sort of this waiting game. It must be just sort of terrifying.
Yeah. Debora, as always, thank you very much for your reporting. We'll check in with you a little bit later as we continue to play out these pictures and learn more about exactly how many children, how many people are being rescued from this collapsed building, a 3-story school building that collapsed in Lagos, Nigeria, the commercial capital of the largest country in Africa. Thank you, Debora.